This is chapter 3 of the Holy Quran, and I have recited verses 69 and 70 to you. And their English translation is, O people of the book, why do you disbelieve in the messages of Allah while you witness their truth? O people of the book, why do you confound the truth with falsehood and hide the truth while you know? This is chapter 61, verses 2 and 3. O you who believe, why say you that which you do not? It is most hateful in the sight of Allah that you say that which you do not do. I have recited these verses of the Holy Quran because there is a large organization that does exactly what Allah warns us not to do in these verses. And that organization is known as the Ahmadiyya Muslim Association, or generally known as the Qadiani Jamaat. And before commenting on the current or recent events, I want to trace back some history. The Ahmadiyya Jamaat was split into two. Why? Because those who later became leaders of the Qadiani Jamaat said Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib was a prophet of Allah, and anyone who does not take the pledge of their khalifa to join that organization is a heretic and outside the fold of Islam. And it was on those issues that the Jamaat split. There was another issue about the management of the Jamaat, but that in a way was a side issue at the time. In 1953, when there were riots against Ahmadis in Pakistan, and there was a demand that Sir Muhammad Zarfullah Khan, who was a Qadiani and a member of the cabinet and the foreign minister, he should be sacked. And there were other demands, like they should be declared, the Qadianis should be declared heretics and out of the fold of Islam. And after the riots ended, the government held an inquiry, and that is generally known as the Munir Commission, and the report it produced is called the Munir Report. There were two justices of the Pakistan Supreme Court who led that inquiry, Justice Muhammad Munir and Justice Muhammad Qadiani. And interestingly, when the Qadiani Khalifa appeared before this inquiry, and this is the same Khalifa who coined and invented the idea that Hazrat Sahib was a prophet, and anyone who does not accept that is a heretic and out of the fold of Islam. He appeared before that inquiry and he recanted on his beliefs. He tried to fudge the issue. And of course, he was a politician, more of a politician than a religious person, as all Qadiani Khalifas are. And he fudged the issue in political terms. His statements were more political statements than religious statements. You could read them in any way, depending on the situation that you wanted to apply them to. And the riots subsided, had already subsided, things became calm, and the Qadiani Jamaat went on after a few months back to their original beliefs, and that is that Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was a prophet and those who deny him are kafirs, and to be a Muslim you have to join their organization. And so it went on, and of course, as we know, in 1974 Ahmadis were declared heretics by the Pakistan National Assembly. Recently, some years ago, there was a demand in Indonesia that Qadianis should be declared to be heretics and out of fold of Islam, because they say Hazrat Sahib is a prophet and those who do not believe him are out of fold of Islam. The government asked the Qadianis for a written submission of their beliefs. What are your beliefs? And the Qadiani Jamaat tried to deceive the government by lying to them. Their written submission gave the beliefs of our Jamaat and not their Jamaat. Well, the question arises whether your beliefs are right or wrong. If you really sincerely believe them, why would you try and hide them? And from this mosque, there was a khutbah which challenged the Qadiani Khalifa. And it said, Khalifa Sahib, what will you do now? Will you come and stand up and say that Mian Mahmud Ahmad Sahib's beliefs were wrong? You recanted them, take a bath on the hand of our Amir and join our Jamaat? Or will you expel the whole of your Qadiani Jamaat from your organization? The result was amazing. The result was astounding in being so unwise that it should really have shaken the Qadiani Jamaat to its foundations. The Centre of Qadianiyat in the UK decided to sue the newspaper that had printed the written submission the Qadiani Jamaat in Indonesia had given to the government. And they charged this newspaper with having lied and presented false information to the public. Now, interestingly, you see, this newspaper printed this submission which Qadianis had made to the government, which said Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is not a prophet, and anyone who denies him does not become out of fold of Islam or a heretic or a kafir by a mere denial. And they said, no, 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 the newspaper has published lies. And the newspaper said, what lies have we published? Here is your submission to the government, and all we've done is we've given it a heading, made it a headline, and the rest of the news is simply your submission. So how are we lying? In fact, they said to the Qadianis, you are the ones who've lied. Your Jamaat in Indonesia says that these are our beliefs, and now you're saying that no, they are not. So either your Jamaat in Indonesia does not know what they believe, or they were lying to the government so that government doesn't take any action against them. And of course, this created uproar in Indonesia, and Qadianis were declared to be heretics and restrictions placed upon them. Now, this is the second example where, when faced with difficulties, when faced with problems, Qadianis practice what is called taqiyya, and that is that they hide their true beliefs and they tell the government or whoever it is that their beliefs are that Hazrat Sahib wasn't a prophet. And amazingly, something happened last week. Qadiani Jamaat placed large advertisements in some newspapers in the UK, Evening Standard, Metro, a local newspaper in Luton, about their beliefs. And what did they say? What did they say in these newspapers? Did they say a new prophet has appeared? Did they say Khatmun Nabiyyin means the seal of the Holy Prophet Muhammad ﷺ with which new prophets will be made? No, they didn't. They said a reformer came, a mujaddid came. Khalifa Sahib, all these years, all your Khalifas and all your Murabbis and all your missionaries have been telling us that we denigrate and degrade Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib by calling him a mujaddid. We are lowering his status from prophet to mujaddid. Mujaddid is nothing, you kept on saying. So why did you call him a mujaddid in these advertisements? I know you use the English word reformer. The translation of mujaddid is reformer. Translation of Nabi is prophet, which you believe Hazrat Sahib to be. Translation of Rasul is messenger. Why didn't you use these titles? Are you trying to deceive the public? Are you trying to hide your views? In fact, one or two of our members brought these advertisements to my notice, and they said when they started reading it, they read like advertisements placed by our Jamaat. This is something that the Qadiani Jamaat should be ashamed of and embarrassed about. That to put the message of Ahmadiyyat, whether it's to the government or whether it's to ordinary people, they have to plagiarize our beliefs. They steal our beliefs. They do not have the courage to put their own beliefs, neither to the government in Indonesia nor to the public in the United Kingdom. I have many examples of writings from you where you say these Lahoris, they lower the status of the Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Sahib, who was the promised Messiah. They keep calling him Mujaddid, Mujaddid, and the greatest Mujaddid. They're afraid of people. Are we afraid of people, or are you afraid of people? We believe him to be a Mujaddid and we say he was a Mujaddid. You believe him to be a prophet, but when a submission has to be made to the Indonesian government, you lie. You say you copy our beliefs. When an advertisement is to be placed in the newspapers in the UK, you lie and you call him a reformer. Why did that advertisement say? And these are your fundamental beliefs. Mirza Mahmud Ahmad Sahib, when he wrote The Truth About the Split, mentioned three things. First of all, he said, Maulana Muhammad Ali alleges, number one, that I believe that Mirza Sahib was actually a prophet. And number three, that all those so-called Muslims, wherever they may be, even if they have not heard the name of the promised Messiah, are veritable heretics, pakke kafir, veritable heretics, and out of the fold of Islam. And you look over the page, and what does Mian Sahib says? Yes, I admit that these are my beliefs. Why didn't you put that in the advertisement? Isn't it amazing? The thing on which the jamaat split into Qadiani and Lahori, you hide that. Just to make sure that there is no one can say that I am making these things up. Where is the evidence that the Qadiani Jamaat or Mian Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad Sahib said that Hazrat Sahib was a prophet? Here is his book, Mian Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad Sahib's book. It's called Haqiqatul Nabuwat. Page 117. This shows that the question about his prophethood became clear to him in 1900 or 1901. And because a Galti Ka Azala was printed in 1901, in which he forcefully put forward his prophethood. This shows that Hazrat Sahib, that in 1901 Hazrat Sahib changed his beliefs. This is, as I said, Mian Sahib's book, Haqiqatul Nabuwat. So here he is saying that until 1901 Hazrat Mirza Sahib denied being a prophet, but in 1901 he changed his view and said that he was a prophet. I find it very odd that a prophet doesn't know he is a prophet until a few years before he dies. Page 134. In this ummah, in this nation, amongst the Muslims, we believe in coming of only one prophet. And he is referring to Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad here. That is the prophet who will come within. In the same book, page 185, listen to this. The evidence which supports the prophethood of others, the same evidence shows that the promised Messiah was a prophet. If Moses and Jesus were prophets and messengers, then the promised Messiah was also a prophet. And if the promised Messiah was not a prophet, then these elders were not prophets either. Mirza Masroor Ahmad Sahib, why did you put this in the advertisement? That your belief is that Hazrat Mirza Sahib has the same status and station as Hazrat Musa, the Prophet Moses, who brought law called Torah. And then we carry on. Page 198 of the same book. A person who denies the prophethood of the promised Messiah, he will essentially have to deny the prophethood of all the earlier prophets. For the arguments which establish the prophethood of Moses and Jesus, there are greater arguments which establish clearly the prophethood of the promised Messiah. And listen, and if despite those arguments and that evidence, the promised Messiah is not a prophet, then till this day there has not appeared any prophet in this world. Any prophet, including the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Mirza Masroor Ahmad Sahib, Why didn't you put this in the advertisements? इनसे बढ़कर दलाइल और साफ अल्फाज हज़रत मसीह मौद की नबूवत के मुतल्लिक मौजूद हैं। इनके होते हुए अगर मसीह मौद नबी नहीं तो दुनिया में आज तक कभी कोई नबी हुआ ही नहीं। That includes the Holy Prophet Muhammad. I picked only 2 books because our webmaster keeps telling me I talk too much. This is his Mia Sahib's book, Mia Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad Sahib's book called Anwar-e Khilafat. Page 65. He says, if you put a sword on either side of my neck and I am told to say that after the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam no prophet shall come, I will say to that person, you are a liar, you are a liar. Prophets can come after him. Prophets can certainly come after him. So even on the pain of death, your elder, your grandfather I think he was prepared to say that prophets will continue to come. Actually there is a contradiction. Earlier on I read something which said, Mia Mahmud Ahmad said only one prophet will come. Here he is saying prophets, meaning many prophets can come, but we leave that aside. Let us look at Anwar-e Khilafat further on, page 90. He says, it is our duty that we must not consider non-Ahmadis to be Muslims. It is our duty, ये हमारा फ़र्ज़ है कि हम गैर अहमदियों को मुसलमान ना समझें. And then I think it's page 92, but it's a photocopy and the page has been cut off. But I think it's 92. In Lucknow we met a person who is a prominent scholar. He said to us, you have many enemies who propagate that you call us, this is non-Ahmadis, you call us heretics. I can't believe that people like you could say such thing. That person was talking to Sheikh Yaqub Ali. I said to him, that is Sheikh Yaqub Ali, tell him, we really believe you to be kafirs, we really believe you to be heretics. When he heard this, he was astonished. These are the writings, Mirza Masroor Ahmad Sahib, of Mia Bashiruddin Mahmud Ahmad, whom you believe to be the divinely promised son of Hazrat Masih Maud. Why didn't you put these things in that advertisement? It is obvious that you are either ashamed of your beliefs or you know that they are not correct. But as they say, it's a frog that's stuck in your throat. You can't swallow it and you can't spit it out. And as Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali Sahib prophesied at that time, he said Qadiani jamaat wants to ride in 2 boats at the same time. The boat of the Muslim Ummah and the boat of a new prophet's prophethood. They cannot do both. They'll have to choose which boat they want to ride in. Whether they want to be the Ummah, the followers of a new prophet out of Islam, or whether they want to remain within the Ummah. It is obvious that you want to remain within the Ummah. But the point is, you claim that God guides you. You claim, Mirza Masroor Ahmad Sahib, that you're above making a mistake in religious matters. You claim to receive revelation from God. So tell me now, has God told you that Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Ali Rahmatullah Alayhi was correct, his beliefs were correct, and your grandfather Mian Mahmud Ahmad Sahab was wrong? If God hasn't told you that, why are you printing fabrication in newspapers? And this is not this is nothing new. In response to what happened in Luton, non-Ahmadis of Luton wrote to the newspaper, and the newspaper published a kind of apology. And the Qadiani Jamaat on their websites jumped up and down and said, look, these people are now beginning to censor what we do and say. They're exercising censorship, and they're bowing to pressure from non-Ahmadis and Sunnis and etc., etc. But don't you do the same thing? Don't you do the same thing? There's a large website called Reddit. They have a section about Ahmadis. We put our links on there, and members of your Jamaat go and delete them. Why do they do that? Aren't you exercising censorship? At least this newspaper in Luton did it publicly. You are doing it in an underhand way. And then we got a message from a member of your Jamaat. Dear brother, we are deleting your links because we don't want people to be confused about what Ahmadiyyat is. Well, if you don't want to hide your true beliefs from people, why would you delete our links? It shows that in every matter you exercise duplicity. I know Mirza Masroor Ahmad won't answer this. He won't have the courage to answer this. He will, just like Mirza Tahir Ahmad told the Qadiani Jamaat to ignore Lahoris, he will tell them, oh, look, we are in tens of thousands. Ignore them. Let's carry on making more Qadianis. And don't answer his questions. And in fact, he told Qadianis not even to talk to me and sit with me or listen to me. I have written evidence of that. It is a sad day, a very sad day, when a man who claims to be a man of God, who claims to be in direct communication with Allah, who claims to head a Jamaat that is going to establish peace in this world, he has to resort to such duplicity and lies. Will you answer Mirza Masroor Ahmad Sahib? Please tell us.